Welcome to a new tutorial on my new TextureWatch plugin. TextureWatch is a plugin to simply synchronize your textures that you use within Blender with the textures as they are produced with outside programs. So for instance, if you use the GIMP to edit your textures, or maybe Substance Painter or some other external program to create a texture or a texture set, then once you have imported these textures, you may want at some point to synchronize it. For instance, you're using it inside a material and you changed it inside this external software. Now if it's a large set of textures, you will have to go into Blender, update each and every texture inside your environment. TextureWatch makes this a lot simpler, and I will actually show you. On screen you have our simple application, our simple scene. It's basically a cube or plane with a texture on it. At least that's what we want to do with it. So let's show this in rendered mode and see what I mean. Now say I want to add a material to this white plane. I can simply add a texture, of course, by going to the Add menu, select an image texture, link it up to my diffuse shader and admire the pretty pink colors. If I now select the actual color map that I want to use, you will see here we have a color map. Now we have TextureWatch enabled, so if I change the outside definition of the color map, so on my file system I have this reference to this, I have this texture and I want to change it, and I do this for instance with the GIMP. So here I have the GIMP open on the same image as you can see, and now let's just change it. So I doodle something inside it, I say I'll save this, I overwrite my original, and after a couple of seconds it's written, and I watch what happens in the background. The scene is updated and our updated texture is shown as applied to the material. The same is true for, of course, the UV image editor view. So if we check this scene, make it visible, and we go back to our texture again, let's just revert it. So for instance, I'll revert it, I'll save it again, export the PNG, overwrite the original, big file, 4K, and then in the background it gets updated, and here inside the UV image editor it gets updated as well. Now the fun part is, of course, that you can influence this, and what's true for one image or texture is also true for a whole load of images. Say for instance you add a texture set using the node set add-on. Basically select the main texture and then all the other textures are added to it. It's looking black because there is a bug in Blender, so we need the normal in object space. And now you see we have our new material applied, but this material consists of no less than 5 different textures. Will it be updated in real time as well? Yes, of course. If we take Substance Painter and have a look at our original texture set, and for instance it's a little bit small to make it all fit into the screen with Blender on the background, but let's say I'll change the grunge amount on the or the level of grunge on this dirt, on this texture. So let's increase it. As you can see, it's getting pretty dirty, and I even can up the height a bit, doesn't matter. And now I'll export my textures, and I'll export them into the same place. I'll export them, and after a couple of seconds Substance Painter will be done with exporting this stuff. It's still running in the background, but I'm doing a video recording and I have Blender open and I have Substance Painter open and I have the GIMP open, so it probably takes some seconds. And when it's done, you will see that in the background it has changed all the textures, because if you, well, it's probably not visible on the video capture, but you see that the normals are changed accordingly. So what TextureWatch does is maintain automatically a complete list of all the textures that you have imported in your blend scene, and then checks them for any changes as they occur on disk. You can actually see which is the list or what is the list of textures that it's monitoring. If you go to the textures tab inside the tool shelf of the node editor, you see this little list currently of all my textures for this material, together with the background HDR I'm using in the render result. And this same panel is available in the textures options as well. It's just a matter of preference, and actually that's something that you can configure if you like. If you go to the add-on preferences, if I can find them here, import export, go to the add-on preferences. If I can actually check whether they are visible in the node editor or not, and whether they are visible in the texture props or not. And I can even disable automatic addition and automatic delete. The exact specifications are documented in the manual, of course. Basically, you don't need ever to touch this. It will update this automatically. Even if you change your scene, so for instance, if you go back to the original one, for instance, so I'll revert to the originally saved file, it will automatically update this. I should actually click truly on OK, revert, yes. It will update the scene, of course, and here, if I look into this list, then you will see that the list of watched textures is now updated, and it only includes the original ones in my basic tutorial scene. So that's basically what TextureWatch can do for you. It will ease your workflow, so to speak. So it will keep the texture as you use them inside Blender synchronized with the textures on disk, so you can change them with your favorite program, be it GIMP, be it Substance Painter, be it whatever you like. And when those textures change on disk, they will be automatically updated inside your Blender file as you're watching it. So that not only saves your time, but it will also keep your scene consistent with what's on disk, and you have immediately a visual feedback on it. Hope you'll find the tutorial useful. See you again. Bye bye.